The West takes a swing at a Chinese-owned company, and it's about to hit European factory lines where it hurts most. This isn't about tariffs or political speeches. This is about the tiny, intricate silicon brains that make our modern world run. And what happens when the flow of those brains is weaponized? In late 2025, the Dutch government seized a firm called Nexperia. The result? A retaliatory chokehold from Beijing that left Europe's automotive titans gasping for air. Today, we trace the domino effect from a boardroom in The Hague to idled assembly lines in Wolfsburg. You'll learn why this particular semiconductor producer became a geopolitical pawn, how a single export ban can paralyze an entire continent's industry, and what this tells us about the fragile new reality of global manufacturing. Stay with us, because by the end, you'll see how a component smaller than your fingernail can bring industrial giants to their knees. Let's break down the player at the center of this storm. Nexperia isn't a household name, but in the world of automotive electronics, it's a heavyweight. They produce the essential microcontrollers and power management chips that govern everything, from your car's anti-lock brakes to its engine computer. Without these parts, a modern vehicle is just a collection of inert metal and plastic. While the company is based in the Netherlands, its ultimate owner is Wingtech Technology, a Chinese conglomerate. This ownership structure is the fuse that was lit. European regulators have grown increasingly anxious about foreign control over such strategically vital technology. The fear? That critical knowledge and production capacity could slip beyond their borders, eroding their industrial sovereignty. That fear triggered an unprecedented move. Citing national security, Dutch authorities stepped in and took direct control of Nexperia's local operations. To them, this was about protecting technological assets. To Beijing, it was a hostile act against a Chinese investment, and China's response was swift, surgical, and devastatingly effective. They didn't send warships. They issued an export restriction. Most of the chips designed in Europe are sent to facilities in China for their final, crucial stage, packaging and testing. By halting the shipment of these finished components, China severed a critical artery in the automotive supply chain. Overnight, a river of vital parts became a trickle. The impact was immediate and visceral. Car makers operate on a just-in-time model, with parts arriving at factories precisely when they're needed. There's no large warehouse of backup chips. So when the flow stopped, the assembly lines began to stutter and stall. Reports swirled that Volkswagen, a colossus of the industry, was preparing to halt production of key models. The company downplayed direct links, but the industry whispers were deafening. And Volkswagen was just the beginning. Mercedes-Benz, Volvo, and other major European brands all sounded the alarm. Their reserves of these specific chips were draining fast. Without a resupply, complete factory shutdowns were a matter of weeks or even days. Engineers scrambled, but there are no easy substitutes for these highly specialized components. You can't just order a different chip off the internet. This crisis ripped the curtain back on a hidden vulnerability. We think of car manufacturing as a European or American craft, but its lifeblood, these advanced semiconductors, flows through a deeply globalized and therefore fragile network. The wafers might be etched in Germany, but their final preparation often happens thousands of miles away. That geographical gap is a strategic risk. What does this mean for the people actually waiting for a car? Delays, frustration, compromise. Consumers faced extended waiting times for new vehicles. Some models simply vanished from availability. For automakers, the financial and reputational toll began to mount with each stalled production day. This wasn't an abstract boardroom problem, it was hitting balance sheets and customer trust. The pressure forced a brutal reckoning. Company strategists had to confront an uncomfortable truth. Efficiency had trumped resilience. Their elegant, lean supply chains were also terrifyingly brittle. The race for cost savings had created a single point of failure, located in a different geopolitical sphere. So, what did the industry do? In the short term, they triaged. Factories prioritized models that used fewer of the affected chips or could be reconfigured. Supply chain teams worked around the clock, begging for air freight and scouring the globe for any alternative stock. It was a desperate scramble. Then, in early November, a slight reprieve. China's Commerce Ministry granted limited exemptions, allowing some chip shipments to resume. It was a relief, but not a solution. The deliveries were partial and the underlying tension remained unresolved. Factories could breathe again, but they knew the oxygen supply could be cut off at any moment. This whole saga is more than a supply chain hiccup, it's a paradigm shift. We are witnessing the weaponization of interdependence. Technology, trade, and national power are now fused in ways we're only beginning to understand. A regulatory decision in Europe can trigger a production crisis in Europe via a countermove from Asia. The lesson is being etched into corporate strategy right now. Diversify, regionalize, build buffers. There's now a massive push to invest in semiconductor production capacity within Europe and North America. The goal is to reduce this dangerous dependency, even if it costs more, because as this crisis proved, the true cost of disruption is far higher. For decades, globalization promised seamless efficiency. This chip crisis reveals its critical flaw. It concentrated critical resources in geopolitical hotspots. The era of taking complex supply chains for granted is over. The next global shock might not start with a financial crash or a conflict, but with the absence of a component you can barely see. If you want to stay ahead of how these hidden tech wars shape everything from your wallet to your driveway, make sure you're subscribed to Winds of Thought. Hit that like button if this deep dive clarified the real stakes for you. Let us know in the comments, should nations prioritize self-sufficiency in critical tech, or is that a path to a more fragmented and expensive world?